Hello, I'm Zoie Blackwood, co-director of the Business Development Committee of the Metro New York chapter of the National Black MBA Association. I'm honored to introduce our keynote speaker for this afternoon, AJ Joyner. AJ is a dynamic and forward-thinking entrepreneur and digital marketing strategist, and he will be delivering a presentation on how to market your business and connect with your customers virtually. We know this topic is top of mind, especially for businesses having to adapt during this time of economic upheaval. I would be remiss if I didn't share a bit about AJ's background in this space. AJ Joyner is a small-town Louisiana native and a proud product of Southern University. He spent 20 years as a technology solutions consultant, software product manager, and business analyst by day, while running his small business marketing agency and working in radio and promotions at night. After leaving corporate America, AJ launched a boutique digital marketing agency, which provided growth hacking and digital marketing strategies for corporations, small businesses, and startups. In a business pitch competition of over 400 participants, AJ won the competition with what the judges deemed the perfect pitch and traveled with Invest Atlanta to ring the NASDAQ bell representing entrepreneurship in Atlanta. His superpower is finding the blind spot and turning that into profit. His past corporate clients include the Centers for Disease Control, the Georgia Department of Human Resources, Hartsfield International Airport, Atlanta Mayor's Office, Fulton Mayor's Office, Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, Delta Airlines, Georgia Tech, and Oglethorpe Power. His celebrity clients include Terry J. Vaughn, Rashawn Ali of the Sister Circle, Palau the Dawn, Dee in the Morning, Essence Atkins, Ebony Steele, Jasmine Burke, Breely Evans, and many more. And he has been nicknamed the celebrity secret weapon. Without further ado, please welcome AJ Joyner.
Thank you so much, Zoe. I really appreciate that. And thank you, New York Black MBA, for having me this afternoon. I'm really excited. And I think this is an important conversation. Now, I know we were talking today about connecting with customers remotely, but I wanted to expand the conversation to talk about strategic growth during the hard times. Because what we've seen during this pandemic that we all find ourselves in the middle of is that traditionally, as a marketer, as a business owner, you focus on how to grow your business all the time. But I think there are definitely more strategies that you can consider that will not only grow your business long term, but build connection with your customers short term. So today, I want to talk to you about strategic growth in crisis and the hard times. I want to start with a quote. When the world changes, it's easy to feel stress. That's because stress is wanting to do two things at the same time: stay and go. First thing I want you business owners to think, finding ourselves in the middle of this pandemic, is you have to think long-term over short-term. Preparing for the future is definitely more important than blindly focusing on the now. As business owners, we do get into the habit of thinking, if I do this, then I need to see this in return. And that's logical. That's profit-based thinking, return on investment-based thinking. But now you have to think, what is the return on the relationship? Okay. And I want you to keep that in mind. Relationship, that's the key word that goes all throughout this presentation. Now, as a business owner, whether you're a large corporation, whether you're a mom and pop, whether you're a startup, it's about building relationship, because now in the middle of the pandemic, people want businesses and brands that they can trust. Okay. So you have to make conscious choices. One of the, again, first things you want to think about is strategically, when I dealt with clients, their first thought, rightfully so, was we have a captive audience at home and they're all looking for something to do. Smart. But here's what happens. Every corporation thinks the exact same way. So after a bunch of canned apologies and a bunch of canned emails saying, oh, we feel your pain, this, that, and the third, what happens is businesses start thinking short-term strategy, short-term, getting money in the door very quickly. And that works, but it doesn't work long because it comes from all different directions. Okay. So the first thing you have to do is make a conscious choice as a business owner to think about the long term. The other thing is not giving in to your impulse. There's a book, it's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. And it is the first thought that you have is typically the knee-jerk reaction. It's a very visceral response. If you can adhere to giving yourself a pause, a beat. When you have the thought, it's an impulse, give yourself a beat and then think, okay, is this a long-term or is this a short-term investment? And if you have the wherewithal to make it a longer-term investment, then you'll have a longer-term return, and your investment in the short-term relationship will pay off in spades later. The other thing is you have to ignore the noise. I had a meeting with a huge client here in Atlanta, and after listening to a lot of the marketing strategists and digital solutions consultants in the room, they all focused on growth, like immediate growth. And what I said is, well, now, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more further in the presentation, is establish your brand as the brand that is there for them right now. Okay. So avoid thinking fast, give yourself a beat, think a little bit long term, and think about the relationship that you can establish over the long term. Okay. The other thing is focus on initiative taking. What does that mean? So if I know that people are at home hurting, how can I create a community for them to just listen? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But can you ask questions about what is the immediate need that you have, even if it doesn't directly align with what you can provide? One of the solutions that we had for a client here in the dermatology field is they immediately shifted to, as opposed to focusing on the medicines and the creams and the things that aesthetically would help their clients that they had in the office and try to sell to them, we changed the strategy to start creating home-based remedies. So as opposed to buying this, I don't know the names of the creams, but as opposed to buying a blemish removal cream and sending it to them via e-commerce or via, shipping it to them, we thought, okay, what ingredients can they use at home that will give their clients the same impact or the same effect and save them money? So we had our client go and start creating short YouTube videos to say, instead of using this cream, you can use avocado and mix it with olive oil and peanut butter, whatever it was, right? So now they're building connection with clients that they've already sold in the past, but they're also growing their business because people are stuck at home and they can't go out and buy the thing that they normally buy. So, and as a result, they ended up growing their client base because now they had people just searching for those types of solutions on YouTube. It ended up growing their audience. And here in Georgia, I don't know where you are, but here in Georgia, we've reopened. But now they have new customers that they didn't have before, following them on Facebook, starting to watch their YouTube videos and things of the sort. So if you take the initiative to think long term and not necessarily about the short term profit, which a lot of people would have said, okay, we're just going to sell them the cream as opposed to them coming into the office and getting a prescription and getting it fulfilled in the pharmacy, we'll show them how they can do it themselves. We will empower the customers. We will build relationships with those customers. And as a result, and it's only been a few weeks, it's paying off in spades, right? Because it's new customers. And the videos were shot with a webcam, just like we're talking now. Okay. So just the thought of thinking slow, as I referenced earlier, grew their business, developed the relationship, and it even got them an opportunity to get comfortable with being uncomfortable because now they were recording on a screen cam. And these are very attractive doctors who didn't get a chance to get their makeup all done. They just did it regularly as if they were YouTubers, right? So they stepped out of their comfort zone. Now they have another revenue stream, possibly by doing things on YouTube and getting traffic that way, a better connection with their customers. All right. So focus on taking initiative. At the same time, think slow instead of think fast. Ask yourself, what is the contribution you can make, or have you made any contribution? So, when you know people are in pain, you have to think about the pain that they have versus the short-term gain that you need or that you want as a business owner. Okay. If you can show people how to make their pain go away, they will pay you. If you try to focus on selling your product, you are just like everyone else who's marketing to them. So focus on the pain, focus on how you can contribute to the pain, focus on how you can make that pain go away. Now you're building brand versus thinking about customers and sales short term. Okay. All this goes back to relationship. So don't react. Ask yourself, what is the contribution right now that we can make for our clients because they're in pain? Making the biggest difference is more important than making the most money. I hope you guys see a theme here, right? You have to think for a second. We're in business to make money. Yes, that's an objective. But if you focus on the short term, making money versus making an impact or making a difference, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Or another colloquialism is you're focusing on the tree in front of you versus being in the woods. Okay. So think about the difference you can make. Maybe that difference has nothing at all to do with your business. Do you have resources to care for the elderly? Can you make it a company objective during this time of need and pandemic and uncertainty to do something for the community that you support? Can you be a resource provider? Here's another strategy that we did with a client. We began to aggregate information and send it out to their current client base on a weekly newsletter. Here's what I mean. When the pandemic first started, no one knew what was going on, right? So we knew that there were only a few credible sources, and the White House wasn't one of them. But, we monitored, or we had the client rather, monitor Johns Hopkins website, monitor the CDC's website, research what other doctors were saying. And we didn't take everything at face value, but what we did is we aggregated the best information that we could find, and we sent that to to that client's customer base. Another way of establishing a relationship and making a difference in their life, right? Now what the customer sees is this client their business model is over here, and they're focusing on my pain, which is right here. You're showing the humanity, okay? Reacting. Headlines, it's human nature to just get caught up in the moment. Because there is so much information coming from so many different places, you can very quickly find yourself going into a rabbit hole of listening to what's happening on CNN versus Fox News, or what this group is saying versus this other group. As a business owner, you have to take your time, take in the information, and not necessarily react to the information. It's almost a self-awareness practice. For those of you who do yoga or meditate or whatever those things are, they allow you to allow things to exist around you without necessarily reacting to all of the things. Okay. So as a business owner, you have to understand how to notice what's happening. Yes, this article came out and it says we're going into the biggest crisis of our lifetime and we may not respond to it until 2022. Oh, here's another article that says this industry can kiss everything goodbye. Take the information in, understand that that's written by other people. Those people have other interests. Those other interests may align with what their desire for the outcome of that particular piece of information is, but not necessarily yours. So notice, but don't react. Responding. Now, um, responding is something that can actually make things better. Once you decide that, okay, we notice these are the things that are going on, you take your time, determine how you're going to respond, and you do that through the lens of how is this number one going to help the people that I serve? Not me as a business owner, not my stakeholders, not my employees. These are all considerations that you have to make. But if you don't have customers and you don't have clients, you won't very long be in business. Okay. So when you're deciding your priorities, make sure that it starts from a customer centric perspective. Um, the basis of capitalism is extracting money. It's providing something in exchange for cash or whatever that is, and doing it to the stakeholders, the benefit of the stakeholders, or the benefit of the business owners. The world that we're in now has turned that on its head. Why? Because unlike before, customers can tweet you directly, and those customers may have 1 million followers, or 10,000 followers, or 500 followers. Bad news travels a lot more quickly than good news. We all know this. So you have to be considerate in how you respond. The other thing is, again, I may speak to this a little bit later, but the other part is responding in honesty, not trying to, paint the picture that everything is going to be okay. And it's my personal opinion that you should share some of the vulnerabilities that you're going through. One of our clients, or one of my clients rather, she lost her mother and her sister within 24 hours to COVID. To her email list, she shared that because that allows your customers to see you as human. One of the big things that corporations have lost is the humanity. The emails come from some random person nobody knows, and they're not even addressed to their clients. They're just an email newsletter that has all the sales that are listed for the day, and it has an unsubscribe button on the bottom. I understand this. Every business cannot humanize themselves, but to the extent possible, humanize your business in your responses. Initiating. I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, but can you initiate some sort of project or an initiative or something that will get you ahead of the curve? Okay, extend help to the people in need. One of the things that I started, and I know Zoie introduced this at the top of the presentation, is I've been coaching people for almost 5 years on writing and publishing books, but I started a membership group. Initially, it was free. Now it's a paid membership group for people who want to write and publish books. Very low ticket. It allows people to log in and interface with other people who are doing the same thing online. And it's a free Facebook group, right? It's private and it's controlled access, but it created community. And now my community, every week it's growing. I think I have maybe probably 60 or 70 people that are asking to get in now, and it's not even public. Because I'm providing value to the people in the group, and I'm being self-referential on purpose because I think it's important. But I created a community for them to see other people that are like them. Okay, other people that are feeling the pain of COVID, other people who have ambitions to write a book, other people who struggle with, what they're going through day to day. Okay, can you create some sort of a community? And yes, you can have strategic objectives because I am monetizing the group, of course, because I know, they're communicating with each other. I communicate with them, but eventually they're going to need publishing. They're going to need editing. They're going to need book covers. But what can you create to get your customers together so that they can see you as a human, and then they can connect with other humans who are going through the same things as them? Okay. That can be a way that you initiate something that's really needed in the market versus what I could have done alternatively, or I don't think it would have been as successful, is I could have said, okay, well, now I'm going to move all of my in-person workshops into Zoom workshops, and maybe I'll lower the price a little bit, but I can still try to keep that higher ticket offering. And I did that, but I did it after I got people into the membership group, right? And what happened is people that were in the membership group paying the lower ticket offering, they raised their hands and said, hey, how can I work with you one-on-one? The membership group is amazing, it's great, but I'm stuck on this problem and I would invest to get to the next level. We had the same thing for a different client. They created a subscription service and they were a higher ticket. I think they have 5 offices there. They do have five offices. They created a subscription service that was low ticket. And then in that lower ticket subscription service, they listed all the things that they could offer. And in every email where they shared the items that were in that subscription service, at the bottom of it, they said, oh, by the way, if you're interested in getting this service, we know it's a little bit more expensive, but because you're a part of our community and you've accepted the subscription, you can get this higher ticket item at a discount price. So you created something that they could attach to that was helpful for them at a lower price, and you offer something bigger, right? So now shift your thinking from top down to bottom up. Okay, how are some other ways we can do this? Understand what your customers are facing. One exercise that we went through with a client is we brainstormed, and we did this via Zoom, of course, with social distancing, but we brainstormed. What are all the pains that your customers are having right now? The pain of, being stuck at home, being uncertain about the future, their kids being at home, being a parent and a teacher and a principal and a janitor, the pain of missing the connections that they made day to day, right? Once you understand what your customers are facing, now you can speak to that through your marketing. Again, we're talking about growing brands through relationships, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, but understand what your customers are facing. Communicate clearly that you feel the pain. Okay, strategically, the way that you do this is once you brainstorm with your team, what are the pains that my customers are going through, you can literally create a bullet list. Draw a line down the middle. On one side, you can write pains, and you list all their pains. And on the other side, you can list connection opportunities. So you can create, for every pain that they have, you can create a connection opportunity. Pain, I'm stuck at home, I'm being a parent and a teacher at the same time. Connection opportunity. Here are resources if you're in a conundrum of being a parent and a teacher at the same time. We feel your pain. We're having to do the same thing. So I just thought I would share this resource with you. So for every pain, you can do a one-to-one connection with an opportunity, and then that becomes your marketing, right? It goes against, not necessarily against, but it's a left turn from a traditional marketing campaign. But again, you tie it one-to-one, and then every email, every social media post, not every social media post, but you start to do social media posts that speak to your client's pains, okay? Create content that your customers need. Again, this is just reiterating the fact that they have needs. How can you meet those needs? So when you're doing your exercise of what are their pains, think beyond just answering the pains, but think, what resources can I provide for them? Maybe you can send out, you can aggregate top 10 resources for parents who are stuck at home being a mother and a teacher at the same time. And then you send that out to all your mothers. Then you post that on social media. You have a landing page so that they can download that PDF as a resource. And now your thought exercise of understanding their pain becomes an opportunity to grow your email list. Okay, because they need that. So pain, solution, and then extended resources. Okay. Ask questions and listen clearly. So after you've done your brainstorming, what are the things that you haven't thought about? What are the things that you wouldn't even know to think about? Simply send out an email to everyone on your email list saying, what are you struggling with right now? We're trying to figure out how to help you. We're all in this together, and we as a business has never faced this. So we want to know from you, how can we help you? And watch the answers come in. And don't overthink this, right? There's one way you can say, okay, we'll create a survey. That's more corporate structured thinking. No. What I'm suggesting, large business, small business, mid-sized business, one-person business, startup, idea person, t-shirt, publishing, whatever it is, ask your questions. How can we help you? We're struggling right now and we're trying to figure out how to help. Tell them to reply directly back to that email. You and your team put in the effort of aggregating those answers. Don't require your customers to do more work when they're already in pain. Ask the question, listen, aggregate those answers. Focus on community. Again, a lot of this stuff you'll see me talk about over and over again. But in this pandemic, one thing that we understand now is that the people that are around us, our local grocery store, our local drugstore, our local baker, candlestick maker, those are the people that we focus on from a consumer perspective. From a business perspective, do the same thing. Who are the people that are in a 5-mile radius of you? How can you help those people directly? Okay. Build connection, and I talked about that, and collect data. Again, data collection is a byproduct of building community, and it's a byproduct of creating something that people want. So as you start to think through these ideas, what are the things that you can offer in exchange for data? Okay. I bought cookies last night, best cookies in Atlanta. The company is called Tips Treats. If you had never heard of Tips Treats, look them up online. They're in a couple of different states. Anyway, after I ate Tips Treats as a gift last week, I was like, cookies are amazing. I went to sign up, and then I drove to pick them up. And I stood there talking to the people at Tips Treats for a while. And I noticed a sign that they were giving away cookies. So if you didn't have money, they would still give you a dozen cookies, right? And they said, there were certain limitations that they had on it, but they were building connection. They were growing their email list, and they have an amazing product. And when I found out that they were giving cookies away, I wanted to know how I could help them. There's another local minority-owned dry cleaner. That's the word I'm looking for. Dry cleaner. My mouth just stopped working for a second. And they didn't get approved for the grant that will give them money. And once we found that out as a community, we strategically found what are the social media accounts that promote small businesses. We created a list of those, and that's something that I've done for lots of customers. So there are Instagram accounts that promote businesses for every community, not just minority communities. We aggregated a list of those social media accounts, and we sent, without the dry cleaner even knowing, we sent their information and ran an ad, and it was anywhere between $25 and $200. So we ran a bunch of them, and now that dry cleaner is now getting an influx of love, if you will, from the community, because they've been here for 40 years in Atlanta. Okay. So now they're getting all this traffic, they're building connection, and that's not only is it a good thing to do, but now that brand was able to connect with even more people that they didn't serve before, and collect that user data. And we're going to work with them to build out some campaigns and things like that. Okay. Be uncomfortable with change and loss. This is the hard part, because again, as a business owner, you understand you have employees, you have business expenses, you have your own personal expenses. The business itself has certain requirements that it has to meet. And a lot of those requirements don't stop just because we're in a pandemic. One of the things that we did is call every subscription service that you have. Okay. We know that things are going to change. We have to level set and be ready for those changes. We called every subscription service we had, because we understand that there are humans on the other side of that too. and we negotiated with every subscription service to the lowest price possible with the most benefit possible, right? So we were, level setting that change is going to come, loss is going to happen, but we were proactive to do some things to save some money for the long term. Okay. And with that said, to those people the subscription services, that you are important to us because you make my business run. And I'm going to do whatever I can, but can you connect with me and figure out that I'm in pain too? And I may not generate the same revenue that I've been generating. So how can you help me too? You'd be totally surprised how many of those people will lower your monthly subscription just to keep you as customers. And if you're a subscription service, you can do the same thing to your existing clientele. I want to close this by saying your customer is your sister and she needs you right now. The biggest part of everything that I've talked about today has been relationship. Yes, there are tactics that you can employ. Yes, there are strategic things that you can do to grow. But the biggest opportunity in times when people are in trouble and they're stuck at home is building relationship, building connection, building community. Think about, I have a baby sister and I have a play sister that's like a best friend. How would I want someone to treat my baby sister, and how would I want someone to treat my play sister as a business owner? And if you can use that as the lens through how you see business, then you can build that long-term growth that you really need, and you can survive in the pandemic. Any questions? Any questions?
All right, so we have some questions, AJ, that are a little bit more tactical. As you know, that our target audience for the symposium are established business owners and perhaps those who are just about to launch. And so some of our questions are framed around tactical things they can do, again, to grow their community and build their connections with their customers and clients. So the first question is, how important is lead generation metrics for small business owners, and what system would you recommend entrepreneurs use?
Thank you so much for that question. It's a very thoughtful question and it's important. One of the things that you have to understand, or I want you to consider, is that this is an unprecedented time. So in the regular world, we use metrics to measure, okay, are we growing? Are we doing these things in the, this, that, and the third? I think now your metric should be connection. Okay. Am I growing? Number one, am I growing at all? Because there are a lot of businesses that are retracting. Okay. Number two, am I creating things that my client base or my customer base that they need? And then once I understand those two things, how can I deliver that thing to them in exchange for their data? Right. So I think the metric, the core metric, could just be growth and engagement. Right. I would definitely watch engagement because the opportunity is there. Everyone is at home, right? So now you have a captive audience. So your engagement in the beginning, because there's two pieces to this. In the beginning, you'll see a spike in engagement. But then as more and more companies start to engage, you will start to see a downward trend and then a leveling off. Okay. So I think that your metric could be engagement over time. And then continuing to create things based on the pains that they're having, then that will continue to create spikes, upward spikes in your business. So every time you create something new, boom, you see a spike that they can use, right? So, and then what tools can you use? There are, for small businesses, startups, MailChimp. I know it's simple. Everybody uses MailChimp, but MailChimp is free for up to 2,000 contacts. Get a free MailChimp account. You can also create landing pages in MailChimp. You can sell from MailChimp. You can connect directly to PayPal with MailChimp or to other payment processing services. Create a MailChimp account or whatever your email marketing tool is. But more importantly, create resources for your people and measure engagement and measure, when you create these resources, are you seeing those spikes where people are actually using those resources?
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question. What percentage of your revenue should be allocated to marketing expenses?
This is tough because there's no science to this. In some campaigns, we dedicated everything above our operating expenses, our business expenses, into growth, because we understand that, as long as we can pay our bills, growth is the most important thing. The opportunity, again, is that everyone is at home. So if you can reach as many people as possible during this time, and the cost of and reaching them is low right now because everybody's at home. Me as the marketer, I would say you invest as much as possible. There isn't a 30%, 40%, 50%. And I know that sort of goes against some of the traditional ways of thinking. But again, we're in unprecedented times. And I think that if you can grow your footprint right now, versus looking at a percentage of the revenue, then I think that's the huge opportunity here. So I think that's a non-answer answer. But the opportunity here is to go all in on growth, wide growth, growing your brand footprint right now, because everybody's at home. Everybody's going through something. So the opportunity there is for you to connect with them and build a wider base that will eventually pay off in the unforeseen future.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, what are some effective ways small businesses can create loyalty programs? You did mention a membership program in your presentation, so if you can speak more to that.
Sure. There are a few things. I think the first thing, if you're a product-based business, what are those products that are that have enough margin so that you can maybe trim some of the margins and create a program to where it's a membership program. I mean, it's a subscription program, especially if it's something that they're going to need to replenish. It could be, I don't know, the masks. It just depends on your type of business. Everyone needs masks. So we have, maybe you create masks, the sanitizer, like a little kit, and you have those on subscription. Okay, we know you're going to need this many, so we're going to do a subscription. It's $5 a month or whatever dollars a month, and we're going to constantly replenish, right? What are the things that your customers need right now that you offer? Again, that you can possibly lower your margin on, that you can get buy-in for those things, because when the world opens back up and whatever that looks like, now you have this program that people have bought into during a time of crisis, and they're going to attach that feeling, that emotion of this company was there for me when the chips were down, into long-term loyalty. Okay. Community, online communities. My daughter, she was really big into jiu-jitsu. She's 8 years old. It's everything to her right now. They moved it online. So, her jiu-jitsu was now a Zoom thing where they only talked through different moves because she couldn't wrestle. But they moved it online, and now the kids could see all the other kids on Zoom, right? They lowered the price, and then they delivered the belts. They delivered prizes to the kids, like little badges and things like that. So they took the opportunity. We couldn't go to the dojo or whatever, but now they have this thriving community online where kids could see each other, right? Again, I don't understand everyone's business model, but there are opportunities to think a little bit left or a little bit right of center now, and create communities, even if they're online communities, that people can connect with, and see other people that are like them. People want to be around people that are like them, even if it's virtually.
What are some programs and services you offer right now?
I like to call myself a free agent now. I ran an agency for a number of years, and I realized that I actually enjoy engaging directly with clients now. So I offer strategic growth consulting. That's sort of the thing that I do for corporations, the airport, and whatever, where I actually go in and I meet with the marketing team of companies, and then I provide strategic direction for marketing teams to then go execute. I also, if you're writing and publishing a book, that's something that I do. If you need growth strategy, like maybe short-term strategy or monetization opportunities, the opportunity here is to look into the white space right now. What are the things that people need that aren't being met? Okay. That's probably the biggest feather in my hat, is going into corporations, big and small, understanding their business model and seeing other opportunities to generate revenue that are low effort, high reward. So I think, that's kind of my sweet spot, is where I got the nickname the secret weapon. Is I look for opportunities that you may not necessarily see. We all have blind spots in our businesses that we will never see no matter how hard we look. That's when you hire me.
Thank you, AJ.
You're welcome.
Yes, so our final question. You mentioned community and relationships are key throughout your presentation. There are businesses that are considering growth and expanding beyond their immediate communities. What are some recommendations for businesses that are looking to scale?
Okay. One way to scale is you look for what I like to call aggregators. What are parallel communities that are similar enough that you could partner with, and you offer your service as a service to the owner of that community? So, for example, if I'm a book publisher, maybe I can partner with a printing company, so that I can communicate with his audience, who probably has people who want to publish books or people who have published books. How can I partner with him? And now he offers all of my people in my tribe or my community a discount for printing, and in exchange for his community, for people who want to write and publish, I offer discounts, and if they want to publish, taking them through the process. So the quick, easy way is you can go to Reddit. Reddit is a huge community of communities, right? You can go on Reddit and you can search some of the subreddit communities. Facebook is incredible. There's a community for everything. You can just type it in the Facebook search bar, and you will find a mini dollhouse community. I didn't even know that existed. One of my clients does mini dollhouses. There are communities of people who are millionaires in these long tail niche communities. You can partner and strategically, but also be a friend. Like, be real, be honest. When you're talking to them, go to the community and listen. Listen for the things that people need, and talk to the people in the community. Don't just go in and, hey, my name is AJ and I'm a publisher. No, go into the community, listen to what the pains that people are having. The other thing is search for reviews that are on Google, on Yelp, on Amazon. Look for the 3, 2, and 1 star reviews. When you find those people leaving 3, 2, and 1 star reviews, what you see is an opportunity for filling a need that people have, right? You can go into forums. Forums are still huge. You can go into Quora. Go into Quora and just type the question in that you want, and see who the people are that are responding to those questions that have a lot of upvotes. And for the people who've never heard of Quora, Quora is a Q&A community, and people are allowed to ask questions, and those questions are answered by professionals and everyday people. Typically, the professionals, and the better the answers are, users of the community will upvote that question, or they will basically give it a thumbs up, and then the best answers always rise to the top. The people who continuously provide good answers, those are the people that you want to follow on Twitter. You want to follow them on Instagram if they're in your market, because those are the people that other people like you are looking to as thought leaders in those communities. So if you can connect with those people, now you have one person that represents an entire community. Um, Instagram hashtag searches is huge. I cannot tell you how many times I've been hired by people searching for hashtags. Search hashtags and then look at some of the people. And before I go into a new community, even when I spoke at the National Black MBA Association, I was able to book 2 more speaking gigs because I searched the hashtag that I talk about or speak about, and I found people who were leaders of those communities in those cities. When I went to Dillard University in New Orleans to do a workshop there, I needed a videographer. So I searched videographer, New Orleans, and I found a group of videographers. I was able to hire that person. So those are some tactical ways that you can do it, but you want to think, who are the aggregators? Who are the people that have a following? And how can I be of service to those people? How can I be of service to those communities? how can my product or service enhance the experience that their communities need, so that they can consider me or my business.
Thank you so much, AJ, for your remarks. They were both high level and strategic, as well as those tactical suggestions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Zoie Blackwood from the Business Development Committee of the Metro New York chapter of the National Black MBA Association. Thank you again for joining this afternoon's keynote presentation.